Hello, Oilers fans. Austin here, and welcome to the day after discussion where the Oilers last night fell 6-3 to the Dallas Stars. But I think we can all agree that score isn't really reflective of how the game was played. This was definitely a closer game than that final score kind of shows. But at the same time, the Oilers got into penalty trouble in that third period. They took 3 straight penalties. One of them continued from the end of the second, and then they took 2 at the start of the third. All penalties that were, in my opinion, undisciplined and unnecessary. You cannot give the Dallas Stars that many opportunities and expect to win hockey games, even with a 2-goal lead heading into the third. The Oilers were in control of this game, and that's why I'm not going to freak out about the loss last night. In today's day after discussion, we're going to be going over some of the numbers, some of the storylines from the game last night. Paul Coffey is someone that I really want to kind of hone in on, specifically when it came to his utilization of his defense pairings, because we all know Nurse and Stetcher work together. We know Wallman and Klingberg work together, and we know Kulak and Bouchard work together, but he was doing some strange things with his D pairs last night, and I did want to talk about that and kind of showcase why I think Paul Coffey should be part of the blame in this one for the loss. Of course, the penalty kill was kind of the main killer on the team. If the Oilers don't get that penalty kill sorted out, they are going to be gone in this series very, very quickly. And what's my panic level at? Well, if I was rating my panic level on a scale of 1 to 10 after that game one, I'm probably sitting at about a 2. I actually don't feel terrible at all about the loss. Yes, it sucks. Yes, you want to be able to have that maturity, as Leon Draisaitl would say. You want to be more mature than what the Oilers were last night. If you're up by 2 in the third, you should be able to find a way to lock things down. However, the Dallas Stars, they have come back from multi-goal deficits to win games in the third period already in the playoffs. More specifically, Game 7 against the Colorado Avalanche, they were down 2-0, and then they absolutely exploded in the third period, and their power play was part of that as well. So, without further ado, let's discuss Paul Coffey, and then after we're done discussing Paul Coffey, I'm going to go over some of the other numbers from the game last night. This is not a video that is going to be 30 minutes long. I am keeping this one shorter and sweeter today, mostly because, it's game 1 of the series, and there isn't a whole lot to talk about yet, but if these concerning trends continue, obviously there's going to be a lot more to talk about, and these day afters will get a little bit longer here, but let's just get out of the way with the Paul Coffey situation. Now, on the screen here, you will see the defense pairings, and then beside the defense pairings, you'll see if they were on the ice for a goal for or goal against. You'll see their shot share together and their expected goals together. Now, 11:57 time on ice for Wallman and Klingberg. Now, they were on the ice for no goals for and 1 goal against. Of course, that was Tyler Seguin's breakaway goal in the first period. I blame Leon Draisaitl a little bit more than the 2 defensemen, but Klingberg, he probably pinched up further than he should have. Their shot share on the ice, actual shots on goal, were 7-4 in favor of Edmonton, and their expected goals percentage was 74%. So Wallman and Klingberg had a great game. They were in the, they were -1 on the night, but if, you keep playing the way they did, at least according to the analytics, the goal share is going to rebound nicely. And then, of course, the second most played defensive pair at 5-on-5 was Kulak and Bouchard. That pairing together was on the ice for 1 goal for, no goals against. Shot share was 4-1, and their expected goals was 95%. That's terrific. And that kind of, the eye test confirms that, is what I'm trying to say. The eye test confirms that Kulak and Bouchard played a real solid game for Edmonton. And then the third most played defense pair was Nurse and Stetcher. The shot share was 6-8 in favor of Dallas, so 43% shot share. However, the expected goal share for Nurse and Stetcher was 73%. So even though the Oilers were outshot when Nurse and Stetcher were on the ice, the Oilers were generating the higher danger looks. They were getting the better chances with those two. And I didn't think Nurse and Stetcher looked bad at all last night. I think the eye test also shows that defense pair was absolutely fine. No issues at all. Where the issues come in here, though, is Paul Coffey deciding to go away from these defense pairs and just suddenly start playing random D-men together. You had Nurse and Klingberg together for 337. Their expected goal share was 13%. Yes, they were on the ice for a goal for. However, that expected goal share at 13% in 337 of ice time, it's a super small sample size. I'm not sure why they went to Nurse and Klingberg for almost 4 minutes time on ice. But again, that's Paul Coffey. He's looking at different things. Fine, whatever. We'll move on. Kulak and Stetcher were played together for 318. Now, I don't know what this kind of experimentation was going on. Paul Coffey, he is in charge of how the defensive pairings are rolling. And with how much time on ice these pairs have had on the ice, 318 is not an accident. This is intentional by Paul Coffey. This is not where a situation where one defenseman is stuck on the ice and the other can't get his change or whatever the situation is. The shot share was 1-4 in favor of Dallas. The expected goal share was 17% with Kulak and Stetcher on the ice. And then you had Nurse and Bouchard on the ice together, and we know historically, at least in the postseason, that pair hasn't worked well. Now, in the regular season, that pair has worked, but tonight it did not work, yet they still got to play 315 together. Their shot share was 1-1, so even, and their expected goal share 18%. So again, they're in their own zone a whole bunch, again, it makes no sense. And then you had Nurse and Kulak together for 252. Now, what is the what is the common denominator when you look at the defense pairs that played less than 10 minutes together last night? Darnell Nurse, Darnell Nurse, Darnell Nurse. Why is Paul Coffey playing Darnell Nurse with literally everyone when you have your established pairs? Nurse and Stetcher work, Kulak Bouchard work, Wallman Klingberg work. Why are you experimenting with Darnell Nurse with everyone else on the ice when it comes to the defensive pairs? And, maybe the sample size that you're seeing with one of those pairs should tell you maybe we should keep playing Darnell Nurse with Troy Stetcher, because this is abysmal. And Darnell Nurse clearly needs a specific defense partner, and Troy Stetcher's that guy. The fact that he completely went away from the pairings that were working, especially in that third period, I'm sure a lot of you noticed that in that third, the line switch-ups, even from Kris Knoblauch too with the forward group, was pretty crazy, and I did not agree with it at all. I thought it didn't make any sense. The team kind of just started panicking when Dallas came back into it, and speaking of panicking, you have the 3-1 lead at the start of the third. Dallas, they get an early one. Heiskanen shot through traffic. Stuart Skinner screen. Good goal. 3-2. Oilers take another penalty. Okay. Corey Perry, high stick. Maybe don't do that, Corey Perry. Bad boy. Bad boy, Corey Perry. 200 feet from your own zone. Don't do that. Well, now Dallas makes it 3-3. Now, the crowd's super into it. We're 4 minutes into the third period. Dallas has all the momentum. The Oilers haven't killed 2 power plays in a row. They gave up 2 straight power plays to start that third period. If you're Kris Knoblauch, you're sitting on the bench. You see the crowd going nuts. You see the players maybe gripping their sticks a little bit. They started to look like they were panicking on the ice, and you could feel the momentum really shifting. Why is Kris Knoblauch not calling the timeout, right? You have the timeout, you might as well use it. I'm not sure what he's thinking on the bench there, but he decided, you know what? Let's not use the timeout. And for some reason too, I'm not really sure why he didn't call the timeout either, because that 3-3 goal, I forget who it was that was in the top of the crease, didn't make a lot of contact with Stu. His feet were in the blue paint, but I don't think there was actual contact with Stu. But why not call the timeout and just use that as an excuse to be like, maybe we're going to challenge this. And then at the end of the day, you're still getting your timeout. You let the players start to breathe a little bit. It takes the crowd out of it just enough that maybe you can start to turn the game around. He doesn't take his timeout. Dallas gets another power play, their third straight, off of an errant stick by Evander Kane. Now, a lot of talk about that specific penalty to Kane. Did he actually high stick Marchment? Yes, he did. There are several angles that show direct stick contact with the face and chin of Marchment. It was a clear high stick. I know in the live stream last night, my reaction to it was a lot different than it is right now. I've seen the replays. I've acknowledged it last night in the post-game fan reaction. I also acknowledged it during the stream as well when fans let me know to look at a certain angle, and I did. It's a penalty. The big thing here is, okay, you haven't killed any penalties in the last 2 attempts. You need one big kill here. Oh, lose the face-off. Puck kind of goes around. Stuart Skinner's on his butt, and Duchesne scores his first of the playoffs. And 4-3 Dallas. 6 minutes into the third. It was chaotic. The crowd's going nuts. What does Kris Knoblauch do? Nah, let's not call the timeout. Why would we call the timeout? Kris, what are we doing? Why don't you want to call that timeout? I don't understand. And even if you don't want to call the timeout, like, I don't know, maybe he thought, oh, well, the commercial break's coming soon because we're 6 minutes into the period, so we'll wait for the commercial break to settle everyone down. No, called it to slow the game down to your pace. You're in control here, Kris. Now, I do criticize Kris Knoblauch a lot less during the playoffs because he does make proper adjustments. I find that his ability to figure out, who's going, who isn't, is really strong, and his tactical adjustments mid-game and during the series usually get better and better. So we're sitting there going, you know what? I trust Kris Knoblauch here to get the boys going. The Oilers, unfortunately, were unable to come back in this game, but I did want to acknowledge the fact that Paul Coffey on the bench, he was messing around with all of his defense pairs for no reason. You have the numbers, and the numbers, not just from this game, you have decent sample sizes from the past where Wallman, Klingberg should be together. Nurse, Stetcher have to stay together. Nurse cannot play with anyone else right now. You have to shelter Darnell Nurse with the one guy that works. And whether we agree that, Nurse should be able to play with other players or not doesn't matter. We know he works with Stetcher. Keep him with Stetcher, for goodness sakes. And then, of course, Kulak, Bouchard have to stay together as well. Kris Knoblauch needed to take his time out. Would any of that made a difference, though? Like, even if Kris Knoblauch took the timeout at the 3-3 or even the 4-3 goal for Dallas, would that have made a difference? Probably not. Dallas really did have control of that third period. Once they got the lead, they locked it down because they are a good team, right? I talked about Dallas's defense in the series preview, and then more specifically in the Game 1 preview, where I had a lot of Stars fans get a little tilted at the disrespect that I showed towards their defensive core. Now, obviously, when I talk about different players, different teams, I'm not someone that ever purposely disrespects the opponent. In fact, I try and do the complete opposite, to the point where there's a lot of Oilers fans that tune in and go, maybe he's being a little bit too fair right now. I don't want to hear all the positives about the other team. I want to hear him talk about the Oilers. I try and be as objective as I can in my analysis. Do I think the Oilers still have a great chance in the series? Yes. Do I think the Oilers can still expose a lot of the defensemen on the Dallas Stars, not named Thomas Harley and Miro Heiskanen? Absolutely. And do I think they can beat Jake Ottinger 3 or more times in a game consistently? Absolutely. But the Dallas Stars are a good team. They have been here before. Pete DeBoer is a great coach. He has been here numerous times. And for the Edmonton Oilers, if you are not paying attention to the details, it doesn't matter who another team has in the lineup. If you are not playing your system, and if you allow a team to have an inch, they're going to take a mile on you. This is the toughest time of the year. The Oilers have to find a way to lock things down moving forward in this series. Now, taking a look at some of the extra stats here, Oilers versus Stars, Game 1, bottom of the screen, some of the advanced stats. The Oilers lost 6-3. They controlled 59% of the expected goals at 5-on-5. They had 52% of the high-danger chances at 5-on-5, and they had 55% of the shot attempts at 5-on-5. That is the Corsi. Now, let's break down some of the numbers last night. A couple adjustments that Kris Knoblauch has to make. Number one, the Evander Kane, Adam Henrique, Connor Brown line, they combined for an 18.15 expected goals for percentage last night. That is abysmal, and the eye test shows that. After the first period, during the live stream, I talked about that line specifically. I said they need to split Connor Brown and Evander Kane. Brown and Kane are the two guys that you have to move, in my opinion. Historically, they've shown that they don't really play well together. Yes, they had a few goals in that Vegas series, but their metrics were not strong. They took advantage of a couple opportunities. I know Kris Knoblauch, when he has a line that can score goals the way this line has before, he likes to keep them together. We saw that last year with the Janmark, Henrique, and Brown line as well. I just think Kane and Connor Brown specifically are guys that need to be split. Maybe Connor Brown, you bump him to the fourth line. Maybe Evander Kane, you bump him up with either McDavid or Draisaitl. Whatever you want to do. I think that third line for Edmonton is abysmal, and there needs to be a change. Yes, it's a one-game sample in this situation. He's probably going to keep them together tomorrow. If Connor Brown is not 100%, by the way, Connor Brown, he missed the morning skate, and he was a game-time decision. He did end up playing. I don't know if Connor Brown is hurt or if he's ill. Doesn't matter. He didn't look good last night. If he's not 100%, yank him out of the lineup, put somebody else in my opinion. The Kulak-Bouchard defense pair, moving on to the next pair of numbers that we want to talk about. Kulak and Bouchard together on the ice controlled 93% of the expected goals at 5-on-5. Kulak and Bouchard were phenomenal, and they did not get the amount of ice time that I think they deserved. That was the defense pair that Edmonton should have been throwing out there consistently. As much as Heiskanen and Harley play for Dallas, play them 25 or 26 minutes if you have to. Those two D-men specifically were really allowing the Oilers to jump up in transition. They were getting the puck deep, and they were generating some chances from the point as well. Bouchard, of course, with the goal. Love to see that. Good wrister from Bouch. But that, again, that's a defense pair that Paul Coffey, look at the numbers, my man. Keep them together, right? There's no reason to play Bouchard with anyone else. No reason to play Kulak with anyone else. Obviously, unless it's like a penalty kill or whatever. But that's, there are situational moments where maybe you have a hunch. His hunches last night, Paul Coffey's that is, did not work out very well. Next player here, Leon Draisaitl. He had 1 goal, 2 assists in what I thought was one of his strongest offensive games of the playoffs. However, unfortunately, he was kind of one of the causes of Tyler Seguin's breakaway goal in the first. And then he was on the ice when Seguin scored his second of the game. That crazy, there was a backhand that looked like it maybe was going wide, and then Seguin just hit it out of the air behind Stuart Skinner. Great goal from Tyler Seguin. Sagan's been around the block a long time. He has a Stanley Cup. He hasn't won a Stanley Cup since 2011 with the Bruins. He's itching to get back to the finals. He's itching for another chance. Draisaitl, if he's going to go up against that Seguin line, he's got to be better defensively, and he's got to take care of business in his own zone, because it's obvious that Draisaitl and McDavid were really feeling it on offense. Let's make sure that they're also still committed to that two-way play. I have no doubt that Draisaitl and McDavid as well are going to step back into game 2, and they're going to be even better defensively. Now, the next player I want to talk about very quickly here, Zack Heyman and his physicality. This was crazy. When I was doing research for this day after discussion today, I had to take a double and a triple take at the numbers. Yes, this is true, by the way. Zack Heyman had 59 hits thrown in 73 regular season games, but in 12 playoff games, Zack Heyman has 90 hits. That's 9-0. 90 hits in 12 playoff games. He had 13 hits last night against the Dallas Stars, and Zack Heyman is a wrecking ball in the playoffs. I know he's not scoring as often as we're used to seeing him, but he is very effective on the forecheck, and it's clear that the Oilers have a few players where they're telling them dump it in deep and then hit defensemen in the corners as hard as you can. Heyman against Pietrangelo in that Vegas series and White Cloud, he was a wrecking ball, absolutely torching them anytime they touched the puck. Heyman also hit Doughty in Game 3 against the Kings, just bowled him over before the Oilers got an empty netter to seal that one. Zack Heyman, he has been given a mandate. Go out there, hit everything that moves as hard as you can, and that's what he's doing. Of course, we want some more offense, but listen, if Zack Heyman is going to be the guy that is just laying the body, I'm okay with it. Zack Heyman, little wrecking ball out there. You'd love to see that. And a little fun fact last night for the Stars fans that are probably tuning in. All 5 of Dallas's skaters that were on the ice for the empty net goal by Esa Lindell were from Finland. Yes, you had an all-Finnish team on the ice for the Dallas Stars. All 5 players that were on the ice were from Finland. That's pretty cool. Obviously, the 6th player, which is Jake Ottinger in goal, an American. But I'm just talking about the skaters in front of Jake Ottinger. I thought that was kind of a neat little stat, and I believe that's the first time in NHL history that has happened. So, listen, Dallas, they have a ton of Finnish players on their team, and they're very good. And they're very good at puck management. They're good at skating. The Oilers, maybe next time, don't pull the goalie when you don't have full possession. Kris Knoblauch, that's a bad Kris Knoblauch. And the last fun fact, which is not a fun fact at all, the Oilers' penalty kill falls to an abysmal 62.2% in the postseason. I consider a 75% PK bad. I legitimately think 75% is bad. The fact that the Oilers are at 62% on the penalty kill in the playoffs, and it's no longer a small sample size anymore. The Edmonton Oilers cannot kill a penalty to save their life. They are without Mattias Ekholm, who is instrumental in that penalty kill. One player should not be that big of a difference. However, if Mattias Ekholm, who is on the verge of returning, I don't know if he plays tomorrow in Game 2. Maybe he does. Only if he's ready will I accept it. But for sure, if he plays in game 3, obviously they're going to have Ekholm on the penalty kill. If for some reason it's a mental thing and Ekholm steps up and the penalty kill starts to turn things around because suddenly Ekholm's there, that's great. But right now, the penalty kill is terrible, needs to get better moving forward. That is it from me. That is today's day after discussion. Some fun facts, a few, coaching decisions that I think the Oilers need to make adjustments with. And I think the players in general, they're going to respond. I'm very much looking forward to game 2. If you have liked this video today, make sure to hit that like button. And if you really liked it, make sure to subscribe to the channel as we are very close to 6,000 subscribers now. Unbelievable support as always. Thank you all so much. Tomorrow morning, I will have a pregame report up before game 2. And of course, tomorrow night, 6 p.m. local time here in Alberta, I will be going live once again, providing commentary and a fun environment for everyone to hang out in chat. The memes, the chair, everyone loves chair. If you're not sure why I'm referencing chair, tune in to live stream tomorrow and you will quickly find out why. We'll see you all soon, everybody. Appreciate all of your love and support. Tell someone that you love them today. And as always, fight like a kid, fight like Ben. Let's go Oilers. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.